fehlt überhaupt nichts. Wirklich nicht.
Aber was ihr macht, das ist Dummheit! Blöder als die Schweine! Ihr gehört in die Klappmühle! Von mir aus könnt ihr kaputt gehen! Alle!
Zu den ersten Notstandsmaßnahmen zählt die Einschränkung der Freizügigkeit und des Verbots des individuellen Verkehrs. Die Wiederanwender haben mit sofortiger Einweisung in eines der zentralen Gesundheitslager zu rechnen. Der Minister des Inneren betonte, wer das Gemeinwohl gefährde, könne nicht mit Rücksicht der Gemeinschaft rechnen. Nur der starke Wille aller könne eine wirksame Kraft zeigen.
Schauen Sie an den Zaun an! Ganz einfach!
Ihr seid alle geimpft worden? Wer hat euch geimpft? Die Sanitäter, wer sonst? Ihr seid von den Sanitätern geimpft worden? Ja, richtig. Ich bin doch da. Womit seid ihr geimpft? Frische Würstchen?
Da kommt der Onkel Doktor mit dem schweren Geschütz. Das ist zwar keine Wunderwaffe, aber wir wollen es der Krankheit etwas schwerer machen, auszubrechen.
Bin aber
Wollen Sie das beweisen, liebes Kind? Niemand kann wissen, ob er gesund ist. Deswegen müssen wir alle behandeln. Wenn wir diese Schlacht gewinnen wollen, dann müssen wir alle mitmachen. Und da können wir niemanden brauchen, der quer steht. Ich danke Ihnen. Ich danke jedem Einzelnen von Ihnen. Noch ist die Gefahr nicht gemacht. Wir alle müssen mithelfen, um auch die letzten Ungeimpften auszuschließen.
Hallo, habt ihr schon gehört?
Nein,
Die Krankheit ist vorbei.
Posaunen hallen, die Werte der Gesellschaft fallen, die Gerechtigkeit zieht blank, die Gesunden sind jetzt krank!
I've got these notes right here that I'm going to go over. I mean, I know what hotels he was in. I know when he crapped his pants. I know when they removed him. They were having they have a doctor with a giant Pelican case of drugs. He's running around the White House at 3 a.m. not knowing who he is. So this is all the information going. Remember, it was a Secret Service that told us back in 2016, 2 months before the election, they said, you just got to follow him in the ambulance that follows Hillary.
Approval will plummet, but that's all just part of the plan.
Let me just tell you what's coming up today. And I'm going to shoot a report on this either tonight or in the morning. And so I'm just going to build this up because it needs to be built up. We had conversations with individuals, let's just say, on Biden's detail on September 10th, September 11th, inside the Secret Service. And I'm going to leave it at that. And they confirmed to us that they're really concerned about the country and that the people controlling Biden are basically communist Chinese agents. And this is directly from the Secret Service inside the White House. And this is directly from the Secret Service inside the White House, and the details separately. And that Biden, when he said, I just got my butt wiped, it's true. He's defecating all over himself because he has dementia. And they follow him around with a whole Pelican case that's about 2 feet long and about a foot wide, full of drugs he's on that he's injected with. And that Biden doesn't know who he is at 3 a.m. at night and roams around the White House yelling at people and not knowing who he is and defecating on himself. And that when he was in New Jersey to survey some of the damage there, on the 10th, that he had to change clothes repeatedly because he kept defecating on himself. You can see those days he did this. And this is a very sad thing. They put this puppet in so they can commit all these crimes, destroy the border, bankrupt the dollar, launch all these wars, engage in all these crimes, and then basically it'll be seen as America doing it. That's the globalist model. So I have all that news directly from the Secret Service that they're just, the country's in total peril. Biden is completely off his mind, getting out of his mind on drugs. Just like JFK is being injected with some pharmaceutical-grade methamphetamine. He could die at any moment.
Joe Biden's rambling, misspoken speech at the United Nations was as transparent as it was a veiled message to the international order.
And global health threat and a global health threat council toward global COVID response, the global COVID response, vaccinating the world, working with countries, technologies to reduce the the risk. Similarly, we know the bitter sting of terrorism. The bitter sting of terrorism is real, heroic, horrific violence, climactic climate change.
Ignoring his hand in the murder of 13 U.S. soldiers and an aid worker's family and the impending doom of replacement migration, while betraying our oldest ally, France.
Emmanuel Macron is officially fuming. He's not attending this UN summit, and we don't really know what the state of affairs is, even though they're sort of set to have some talk with Biden in the next few days.
Biden's poorly coded message predicted more pandemics to control the population.
Will we work together to save lives, defeat COVID-19 everywhere, to take the necessary steps to prepare ourselves for the next pandemic, or there will be another one?
Bill Gates declared vaccines the best investment I've ever made.
There's been over a 20-to-1 return, over a 20-to-1 return. So if you just look at the economic benefits, that's a pretty strong number compared to anything else.
Gates gave hours of videotaped testimony.
What were the non-Microsoft browsers that you were concerned about in January of 1996?
That month.
Yes, sir.
And what about it?
What non-Microsoft browsers were you concerned about in January of 1996?
I don't know what you mean concerned.
What is it about the word concern that you don't understand?
I'm not sure what you mean by it.
The Justice Department has charged Microsoft with engaging in anti-competitive and exclusionary practices designed to maintain its monopoly in personal computer operating systems.
If you knew what your favorite late-night talk show host did behind closed doors, if you really knew what your favorite radio star, TV star, newscaster truly did behind closed doors, none of us are perfect. We all do weird things. We're all freaky and weird and crazy. But if you knew, you wouldn't follow half the people. You wouldn't listen. And I tell you what, I put doctors on that list. I put CEOs on that list. I put the everyday person on that list. The fact, you gotta stop putting this much trust in local doctors too. I said some of the doctors are out of their minds. Out of their minds. Joe Rogan goes out and he says how he cured COVID. And people lose their mind. You know why they lose their mind?
Tends to work, partners and allies, to answer these questions.
I believe we, and particularly you, has an incredible window of opportunity to lead in shaping a new world order, for the 21st century.
John Bowell.
Hanging out here, I got shows in Omaha, Nebraska tomorrow night. And are you enjoying the great distraction circus, are you? Wow, what a show. Let's talk about this Rittenhouse kid today. Well, clearly he's an American hero. Hero? What are you, some kind of animal? He murdered people. Yeah, no, it was in self-defense. Self-defense? He should have never been there anyway. What's a 16-year-old doing with a gun? Well, he was trying to defend some real people. Did you see the people he actually killed? They were monsters. I know, but nobody, if anything, I think we should take guns away. If anything, I think he's the right reason why we need more guns.
Sire, our plan is working geniusly as it has for centuries. They just keep dividing and we keep conquering as they're more distracted. We need to... Oh, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a liar. How dare he lie? Why can't he be a teammate? Just get vaccinated. I think it's actually a choice. You should have a choice if you want to or do a double choice or a for the means of other people, of course. Oh, please, give me enough of that crap. Oh, we're saying people haven't died? Is that what you're saying? I'm saying that Aaron Rodgers shouldn't be taking horse pills and taking advice from Joe Rogan, who's not a doctor. It's misinformation, and my information is the information. The great divide and conquer, sire. They will never unite. Our plan's been working for centuries. Or are they starting to catch on and we will unite eventually? Turn the circus off, or at least know you're watching one.
The COVID-19 face diaper is a symbol of subservience, a symbol of slavery, a symbol of the chains that the medical tyranny combine, controlled by the global private corporations, has put in place. It is the symbol of the permanent emergency from which we will never emerge. It is the symbol that we are diseased and evil and bad and must cover our diseased criminal faces from the light of the sun. It is the symbol of our complete and total, absolute surrender to evil. Ladies and gentlemen, we are crossing the Rubicon now. The entire future destiny of humanity is upon us. Klaus Schwab and the UN admit they're coming out with implantable microchips as part of the World ID and carbon taxes. Things only get worse from here if we submit. They only get better if we resist and say no. Non-compliance, non-compliance, non-compliance.
What a nice Remembrance Day is. This really represents a really great thing. A two-time war vet can't sit down in the Irving and have a meal. I mean, I've refused service in your restaurant for not giving my private medical information.
You don't need your medical. You just need a piece of government ID and a proof of your vaccination.
That would be my medical information. I would be providing you with my medical. I can provide you with my war medals where I fought and watched my friends get ripped into shreds so that you guys can refuse me a meal on Remembrance Day.
We're not refusing a meal. We just have rules that we have to follow.
Really? And you but you choose following rules over doing what you know is right in your heart.
People who don't care about your health. Politics are the enemy. Humanism and humanity is what we should all be concerned about. Love thy neighbor as thyself. For God's sakes, if I'm going to yawn in your presence, I'm going to put my hand up in front of my mouth. Yawning is not a life-threatening event. You having COVID might be a life-threatening event, and I don't want to catch it.
Dumb bastard. You're not some hero here that's saving yourself and saving the world if we all just take the shot. This is a globalist great reset takeover. And so I have to believe you're not that stupid. You must have been paid off by Big Pharma like so many other, quote, celebrities have been to push this garbage. And you need to be investigated.
I don't care about your political beliefs. You are not allowed to infect anybody just because you think you've got rights that are delusional, of course. You don't have the right to go through a red light. Actually, the government has the right to tell you to stop. You have to put on a seatbelt. If they tell you can't smoke in a building, you can't smoke in a building. And that's not because they want to take away your rights. It's because the rest of us hate it. We don't want to smell your smoke. I don't want to catch your disease. I don't want to risk my life just because you want to go through a red light. This whole idea, this delusional, evil idea that you get to do whatever you want and the rest of the world be damned is really terrible. You gotta identify those people and bring them out into the open so you know who they are.
Right.
You know who your friends are by how much they care about you.
Amen to that.
That includes COVID. If you're willing to walk among us unvaccinated, you are an enemy.
Well, Gene Simmons is one of two things. He's one dumb son of a bitch, or he's one evil bastard. You know, I've seen Gene Simmons talk about his mother fleeing from the corruption and oppression of Europe and coming to America and crying when she saw TV sign off at midnight with a Star-Spangled Banner and our flag. And now he comes to this country that made him rich and powerful and shits all over it and says he wants to violate the Nuremberg Code and force experimental injections on the American people, or we're evil. You know what, Gene? You're either stupid or you're the one that's evil. It was the Nazis that did forced experiments on the general population. And top legal experts agree what's happening here is illegal. This was never properly authorized. And there's never been laws in this country where you can force the general public to take injections. That's why this is a new issue and why it's so huge. And then, you dumb son of a bitch, you need to get this through your head. It doesn't even protect you. I'm going to play clips in a moment of Bill Gates and others admitting this vaccine doesn't work because it's not a vaccine. It actually lowers your immunity, they admit now, to below what it was before you took it. It destroys any natural antibodies. It turns your white blood cells, your killer white blood cells, off. That's in major studies, you dumb bastard. You know what? You are just a dumb bastard that dresses up in kabuki clown outfits and runs around and acts powerful. And the good news is, people that serve evil like you and all you old boomers that love the New World Order, all you leftists, are going to be in their fucking graves. You're not going to inject my children with your fucking poisons, you piece of shit. And you and your fucking band are going to burn in hell before you ever get control of this nation. So I'm going to play for you and your sack of shit band some facts and some evidence and some real information. Because you're the one coming at me with the globalists, with Big Pharma, with the head of Pfizer, saying that you're going to make us take these shots. And already in Austria and Australia and in Spain, they're saying they're going to lock the unvaccinated down now and not let us leave our houses. And another sack of garbage, another authoritarian Nazi cocksucker, Noam Chomsky, came out and said, lock people up in their houses that don't take your poison shot that's giving massive numbers of people heart attacks and myocarditis. And I want to apologize for using French to talk about you, because you are a stupid, arrogant Hollywood piece of shit. And you want to kill me and my family with your goddamn poison? I pray God strike you and your scumbag family down before my family dies. I hope you understand that you're going to burn in hell forever, you maggot. So you keep sucking Satan's cock, because that's all you'll ever do. You're a failure and you're cut off from God. Burn in hell.
Because when you look at the level of virus in the nasopharynx of a vaccinated person who gets a breakthrough infection with Delta, it is exactly the same as the level of virus in an unvaccinated person who's infected. And it has been well documented that they can and do transmit the infection to uninfected people.
I would expect that will lead the R&D budgets to be focused on things we didn't have today. You know, we didn't have vaccines that block transmission. We got vaccines that help you with your health, but they only slightly reduce the transmission. So we need a new way of doing the vaccine.
I want to be clear. While vaccinated people can spread the virus if they get a breakthrough infection, the odds of them getting sick in the first place are far lower than those who are unvaccinated.
So the key message from our finding.
But let me just tell you what's coming up today. And I'm going to shoot a report on this either tonight or in the morning. And so I'm just going to build this up because it needs to be built up. We had conversations with individuals, let's just say, on Biden's detail on September 10th, September 11th, inside the Secret Service. And I'm going to leave it at that. And they confirmed to us that they're really concerned about the country and that the people controlling Biden are basically communist Chinese agents.
Can't tell, was that a dog or a duck?
Thank you.
Wow.
I want to thank all of you for risking your lives to be here. I'm sure you've had... Wait, you're going indoors? They're going indoors to a comedy event. People are on top of each other. The numbers, this is very dangerous. Are you gonna, please tell me you're gonna quarantine before Memorial Day weekend, Charlie. You can tell who's been vaccinated. They walk in with a lot of confidence. I've been vaccinated. I ain't afraid of COVID no more. Got my second shot. Woo! I'm gonna lick some metal. Oh my God. This whole thing is crazy. It really is crazy.
It puts the needle in its skin.
You can't make me take it. Please. Please don't.
It puts the needle in its skin.
How dare you not walk along the narrative? One by one, they all fall. Keep your mask above your nose, please. The whole thing is crazy. It really is crazy. It's like Simon Says every day. Simon Says, put your mask on when you walk in a restaurant. Simon Says, sit down, take it off. Every other week, we have no rules and regulations. And from here on to end, we will decide who's essential. We will decide who will be having barbecues. Who can eat a muffin for your safety? Oh my God.
On Halloween, Joe Biden signs an executive order to exercise authority over the national defense stockpile. Weeks later, Bill Gates warns governments of a smallpox terror attack. 7 days after that, several vials of smallpox are incidentally discovered at the Merck facility in Pennsylvania. The very next day, a rare case of monkeypox is discovered in Maryland.
What else are we not listening to that we need to take action on now?
Well, the idea of a bioterrorist attack is kind of the nightmare scenario because they're a pathogen with a high death rate would be picked. Now, the good news is most of the work we're going to do to be ready for pandemic 2, I call this pandemic 1.
Last year's cyber attack on U.S. software company SolarWinds highlighted the risks of interconnectedness. Hackers hid code and IT monitoring software sold by SolarWinds. So when SolarWinds rolled out updates to its software, it sent out the hacked code too. By attacking a single weak spot, the hackers were able to access thousands of companies' IT systems. Threats like this can create uncertainty as well as huge losses. But we can mitigate them if we work together. Policymakers, regulators, financial institutions, and tech firms and customers must all play their part in safeguarding the system. You have a refrigerator full of fresh food, fresh meats, fresh fruits and veggies, just full of it. And all you got to do is open up the fridge and eat it. But you decide you're going to go into your emergency food supply and eat that food instead. Maybe not the best analogy, but
If anything, life taught me the last 2 years is we don't know anything what's around the corner. You make all the plans you want, you get a bit of CEO, your jobs are shut down. We have no clue how quick life just goes bloop,
which made me crazy how many people they would put on the screen immediately getting offended. Everyone was offended. I'm offended by this, and I'm offended by that, and I want to talk about this, and I want to talk about that. And if you're that person, listen, man, life is offensive, okay? My wife's been battling cancer for 12 years from food that she gets poisoned with that they feed us. That's offensive. We can't see the elderly because we may kill them, even though they got 6 days to live. We'll see you one day, Grandma. Stay behind the glass.
I feel much better with no human contact. Thank you, Dr. Fauci and CDC.
And fear. Thank you. I bet you she'd rather have that touch and hug and be dead tomorrow than do this in the restaurant.
This is encapsulated, this whole mentality, by a bloke called John Oliver. Now, John Oliver is a bloke who was born in Britain and then became a star on American television. Apparently, he's a comedian, although if he is, the whole definition of comedian has to be redefined, because I thought comedians were supposed to make you laugh. This one will make anyone with a smear of intelligence cringe. He spewed forth this week about police officers in America who were being told they had to have this fake vaccine or they'd lose their job. This is what this moronic man had to say about that.
Sums up the American police problem in miniature. The constant refrain we hear from cops every time they kill an unarmed black person is they should have complied with commands, because as long as you comply, things will supposedly go well. But that only seems to work one way. Because when officers are asked to follow simple rules or face consequences, a not insignificant amount of them flip their shit. So you know what? If an officer wants to quit over this, fucking let them. Let the individuals who clearly don't care about public safety stop being in charge of public safety. It is really that simple. And by the way, that is a motherfucking walkie drop.
What's most interesting to me about that clip is not John Oliver. Anyone who watches him knows he's moronic. But the audience reaction. When he's calling for police officers who will have served their community for a long time, who have done nothing wrong, they're just doing their job, but because they won't bow to the imposition of a fake vaccine on their body, they are losing their job and losing the ability to feed their families and feed their kids. And he says, oh, sack him. And the audience, which will overwhelmingly be of the woke mentality, which is another word for fast asleep, of course, think that's right and should be cheered. I don't think the old left that I grew up in would ever have thought the day would come when Noam Chomsky called for fascism. But this is what has happened, and it's become so clear in this COVID era. We're talking about people who've lost their humanity. They've lost their sense of empathy, of compassion, of fairness, of justice, of respect for the opinions of others. If not to agree with them, then to respect their right to have them. Yet how far we have fallen into the pit of fascism masquerading as social justice warriors. And And it's not just police officers that this fascism is happening to. This callousness. It's firefighters. It's nurses. It's care home workers. Decent people who have served their community, often for decades, who are now being cast aside because of the moronic mentality, the idiocy, I'll come to that, of people like John Oliver. And this is about enforcing a fake vaccine that even the authorities admit doesn't bloody work. We only see the figures to see it doesn't work, but they're admitting it now. Boris Johnson this week, the British Prime Minister, God help us, was saying that this fake vaccine won't stop you catching COVID and won't stop you transmitting it. But he said, get your booster. And what's the booster, Mr. Jackboot Johnson? Oh, it's the same stuff from the first two that didn't work. This is the insanity that these fake vaccine fascists and idiots want to enforce on the entire human family.